You walk into the kitchen with purpose, only to stop in the middle of the room, completely blank. What did I come in here for? Or perhaps you're in the middle of a great story with a friend, and the perfect word, a name you've known for 50 years, suddenly vanishes from your mind, hovering just out of reach. For anyone over 60, these moments can trigger a quiet, cold wave of fear. A secret question we barely dare to ask ourselves. Is this normal? Or is this the beginning of something worse? This fear is valid, and you are not alone in feeling it. Every 65 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia. But here is a crucial truth that is often lost in the anxiety. Not every memory slip is a sign of dementia. Distinguishing between normal, age-related forgetfulness and the early warning signs of a more serious cognitive issue is one of the most empowering things you can do for your health and your peace of mind. Hello, my dear friends, and a very warm welcome back to Elderflowerings. I'm so glad you're here for this incredibly important and clarifying conversation. The fear of dementia is one of the greatest anxieties in later life, and that fear is often fueled by a lack of clear information. Many early warning signs are dismissed as just getting older, preventing people from seeking help when interventions could make the biggest difference. Today, we are going to draw a clear line in the sand. This isn't about creating fear, it's about replacing fear with knowledge. We will explore 7 key areas where you can learn to tell the difference between normal senior forgetfulness and the potential first signs of dementia. Understanding these distinctions is absolutely critical. Early detection allows for proper medical care, access to treatments that may slow progression, and the ability to plan for the future with dignity and support. A vital disclaimer before we begin. This video is for educational and supportive purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. I am not a doctor, and these are insights gathered from health experts to help you understand what to look for. If you or a loved one are experiencing persistent and concerning memory changes, your first and most important action is always to consult your doctor for a proper evaluation and diagnosis. Now, let's create some clarity together. Differentiator number 1: forgetting names and words. This is perhaps the most common experience. You're talking and a word is right on the tip of your tongue, but it just won't come. What's normal? It is completely normal for it to take a bit longer to recall names or specific words as we age. Our brain's data retrieval system can slow down. You might momentarily forget a neighbor's name or the word for a specific kitchen utensil, but it usually comes back to you later, perhaps while you're doing something else. This is frustrating, but it doesn't typically disrupt your ability to hold a conversation. What's a potential warning sign? Dementia-related language problems are more persistent and disruptive. Frequent word-finding difficulty. This isn't occasional, it happens often, making conversation a struggle. The person may frequently pause for long periods searching for common words. Substituting strange words. They might not just forget the word watch, but call it a hand clock or the thing that tells time. This reflects a deeper issue in how the brain is processing language. Losing the thread of conversation. They may stop speaking mid-sentence and seem unable to continue, or have trouble following what others are saying, especially in a group. If you occasionally have a tip-of-the-tongue moment, that's human. If you or a loved one is consistently struggling to find common words to the point that it disrupts communication, it warrants a conversation with a doctor. Differentiator number 2: misplacing everyday items. We have all done this. We put down our keys, our reading glasses, or the remote control, and then spend a frantic 10 minutes searching for them. What's normal? Misplacing items from time to time due to distraction or simply not paying attention is a universal experience. The key feature of normal forgetfulness is that you can typically retrace your steps mentally to find the lost item. You might think, okay, I came in the door, I put down the mail on the counter, and oh, there are my keys, right next to the mail. What's a potential warning sign? The pattern with early dementia is different and more concerning. Putting items in bizarre or illogical places. It's not just misplacing keys on the counter, it's finding the keys in the sugar bowl, the wallet in the refrigerator, or important papers in the laundry basket. This indicates a breakdown in cognitive organization. Inability to retrace steps. The person often has no memory of how the item got there and cannot mentally reconstruct their actions to find it. Developing suspicion or paranoia. Because they cannot find the item or remember moving it, they may become suspicious and accuse others of stealing or hiding their belongings. This can be very distressing for both the individual and their family. Losing your keys is normal. Finding them in the freezer and having no idea how they got there is a sign that deserves gentle attention and a professional evaluation. It's so easy to get frustrated by these small moments of forgetfulness, but paying attention to the pattern is what's truly important. Have you noticed a difference in how you or a loved one misplaces things over time? This self-awareness is a powerful first step. Differentiator number 3. Forgetting appointments and recent events. Forgetting a single event on a busy calendar can happen to anyone at any age. But when it comes to memory, the difference between recent and long ago is a critical indicator. What's normal? It's normal to occasionally forget an appointment or a social plan, especially if you didn't write it down. You might need a reminder from a friend or a calendar alert. You might say, "Oh, that's right, I completely forgot about lunch today." Once reminded, the memory usually comes back into focus. What's a potential warning sign? One of the earliest and most classic signs of Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, is the loss of short-term memory, while long-term memory remains surprisingly intact. What's a normal? It's normal to occasionally forget an appointment or a social plan, especially if you didn't write it down. You might need a reminder from a friend or a calendar alert. You might say, "Oh, that's right, I completely forgot about lunch today." Once reminded, the memory usually comes back into focus. What's a potential warning sign? One of the earliest and most classic signs of Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, is the loss of short-term memory, while long-term memory remains surprisingly intact. Forgetting recently learned information. The person may forget entire conversations or events that happened just hours or days ago. Repeatedly asking the same questions. They might ask you what the plan is for the day, and then 10 minutes after you've told them, they ask the exact same question again with no recollection of having asked it before. Relying heavily on memory aids, but still forgetting. While using notes is a smart strategy, a person with early dementia may not remember to check the notes or may not remember writing them in the first place. This can be confusing for families because the person might be able to tell a vivid, detailed story from their childhood, but be unable to remember what they ate for breakfast an hour ago. This discrepancy between old and new memory retention is a significant warning sign. Differentiator number 4. Getting lost or feeling disoriented. Navigating our world relies on a complex set of cognitive skills. It's normal to feel a little lost sometimes, but there's a distinct difference between normal confusion and dementia-related disorientation. What's normal? It's perfectly normal to feel turned around in an unfamiliar city, to need a GPS to find a new address, or to momentarily forget which level of the parking garage you parked on. These are challenges related to navigating new or complex environments. What's a potential warning sign? Dementia affects the brain's ability to process spatial relationships, leading to more profound disorientation. Getting lost in familiar places. This is a major red flag. This could mean getting lost on a walking route they've taken for years, or even feeling confused about how to get from the living room to the bathroom in their own home. losing track of time, seasons, or dates. This goes beyond forgetting what day of the week it is. It can be a deep confusion, such as believing it's morning when it's evening or thinking it's summer during the winter months, leading them to dress inappropriately for the weather. Difficulty understanding maps or following directions. A series of directions that would have once been easy to follow now feels overwhelmingly complex and impossible to retain. When someone starts to feel unsafe or lost in their own familiar neighborhood or home, it is a clear sign that their brain's internal GPS is struggling, and it's essential to seek a medical evaluation to ensure their safety. Differentiator number 5. Consistent poor judgment and decision-making. We all make a bad decision from time to time. We might buy something on impulse that we later regret, or trust someone we shouldn't have. This is part of the human experience. What's normal? Making an occasional error in judgment, like falling for a clever sales pitch once, or making a questionable financial choice that you later recognize as a mistake, is normal. The key is the ability to learn from the mistake. What's a potential warning sign? Dementia can fundamentally impair a person's executive function, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, problem-solving, and judgment. This doesn't manifest as an occasional mistake, but as a consistent pattern of poor decision-making. Financial vulnerability. This is often one of the first and most dangerous areas to be affected. The person might start making unusually large purchases they can't afford, giving away significant sums of money to strangers or questionable charities, falling for obvious scams over the phone or online, or suddenly being unable to manage their own bills and budget. Compromised personal safety. This can include neglecting personal hygiene, wearing inappropriate clothing for the weather, not out of stubbornness but genuine confusion, or engaging in unsafe behaviors like leaving the stove on or wandering away from home. Changes in social judgment. The person might start making inappropriate or tactless comments, oversharing extremely personal information, or losing the ability to read social cues, which is very out of character for them. This decline in judgment is not a personality flaw or a moral failing. It is a symptom of changes in the brain's frontal lobes. If you notice a loved one showing a consistent and uncharacteristic pattern of poor judgment, especially concerning their safety or finances, it is crucial to intervene gently and seek a professional assessment. This can be one of the most challenging areas for families to navigate. It requires immense patience and the understanding that these changes are caused by the disease, not the person you love. Differentiator number 6. Difficulty with familiar, everyday tasks. One of the most telling early signs of dementia is when someone begins to struggle with tasks they have performed countless times before, tasks that should be second nature. What's normal? It is normal to need help with new or unfamiliar technology. It's normal to ask for assistance programming a new television remote or figuring out a feature on a smartphone. It's also normal to make an occasional mistake, like adding the wrong ingredient to a recipe if you're distracted. What's a potential warning sign? The key here is the struggle with familiar tasks. This signals a breakdown in what's called procedural memory and executive function. Trouble with a lifelong hobby. A person who is an avid card player might suddenly struggle to remember the rules of bridge. A woman who baked the same beloved cake recipe for 50 years might now get confused by the sequence of steps. Difficulty with household chores. They might struggle to operate a familiar appliance like the microwave or washing machine. Challenges with routines. Balancing a checkbook, a task they may have done monthly for decades, can suddenly feel overwhelming and foreign. When dementia begins affecting the brain, these complex cognitive processes that allow us to sequence tasks start to break down. The person isn't being lazy or uncooperative. The mental roadmap for that familiar task has become fragmented in their brain. This can be incredibly frustrating and frightening for them, and often leads to them avoiding these activities altogether to hide their struggle. Differentiator number 7. Significant changes in mood, personality, or social behavior. Our final point is about changes that go to the very core of who a person is. While we all have our moods, dementia can cause significant and often uncharacteristic shifts in personality. What's normal? It is normal for anyone, especially an older adult dealing with health issues or losses, to have days where they are irritable, sad, or anxious. We all have our good days and bad days. What's a potential warning sign? The changes associated with early dementia are often more pronounced, persistent, and out of character. A shift from outgoing to withdrawn. A previously social and bubbly person may become quiet, apathetic, and lose interest in hobbies and social interactions. This social withdrawal is often an early sign, as they may be self-conscious of their other cognitive struggles. New onset of anxiety, suspicion, or paranoia. They may become unusually fearful, suspicious of others, even family, or accuse people of things that aren't happening. Loss of empathy or changes in social graces. A once polite and considerate person may start making tactless or inappropriate comments, showing a decline in their ability to understand social cues. Increased irritability or agitation. They may become easily upset or frustrated over minor issues, sometimes reacting in a way that seems disproportionate to the situation. These shifts are not personality flaws. They often reflect chemical and structural changes in the parts of the brain that regulate emotion and behavior. When you see a fundamental change in someone's core personality, it's a sign that warrants a compassionate conversation and a medical evaluation. What to do next? The power of proactive, compassionate action. As we've journeyed through these 7 key differentiators, you may have recognized some signs that cause you concern, either for yourself or for someone you love. The purpose of this knowledge is not to create panic, but to inspire proactive, compassionate action. If these warning signs are persistent and affecting daily life, the most important next step is to schedule an appointment with a doctor. A primary care physician is a great place to start. They can conduct initial screenings and rule out other treatable conditions that can mimic dementia symptoms, such as vitamin deficiencies, especially B12, thyroid problems, depression, or side effects from medications. From there, they may refer you to a specialist like a neurologist or a geriatrician for a more comprehensive evaluation. Early diagnosis is a gift. It provides access to any available treatments that may help manage symptoms or slow progression. It allows the individual to participate in planning for their own future care and finances while they are still able to. And it gives families access to crucial resources, education, and support systems that can make the journey ahead more manageable and less frightening. Approaching a loved one about these concerns requires immense gentleness and respect. Use I statements like, "I've been feeling concerned because I've noticed," rather than accusatory statements like, "You keep forgetting." Frame it as a team effort to support their overall health and well-being. Final thoughts. Understanding the difference between the normal mists of age-related forgetfulness and the denser fog of potential dementia is a profound act of care. It allows us to respond to our loved ones and to ourselves not with fear or frustration, but with informed compassion. It empowers us to seek help early, to plan wisely, and to ensure that the journey ahead, whatever it may hold, is navigated with as much dignity, support, and love as possible. Thank you so much for joining me for this incredibly important conversation on elderflowerings today. Your willingness to seek out this knowledge is a testament to your love and care. I would be so honored if you would share in the comments below what is one insight from today's discussion that you found most helpful or clarifying. Your experience could be invaluable to another viewer walking a similar path. If this video provided you with value, please give it a like, share it with anyone who might benefit from this information, and subscribe to our channel for more compassionate and practical guides to aging well. Until next time, be kind to yourself, be patient with those you love, and remember that knowledge is the light that helps us navigate any path with courage.